Who's left all of this in my hole? I don't even know what these are, let alone use them. Disgraceful things. Anyway, I was doing a bit of hole digging. What is this place, first of all? I should say, this is an island, or it was anyway, until I started digging it. There we go. It's an island that's not too far away from the capsule, and I was looking out of the window and I decided, that's got some sand in it and stuff, let's just dig it all away. And so I've started doing that, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I was doing something a bit more productive. In fact, maybe you can tell. If we look up there, there's something new sticking out of the top. Apart from this grass. Go away, grass. It's up here. Look at this. What is it? What could that be? First of all, I'll put away the litter. Now, where does this go? It's not really wood, is it? Because it's made of bamboo, so I suppose it goes under plant derivatives. Okay, so this thing that I built. So welcome to the top of the world, and you've probably already guessed from the shape and the sounds that this is, of course, a mob farm. And I decided to do this as we were up near the top of the world, really, up to the top of the roof, and it's far enough away from the land and everything's lit up. Great place for mobs to spawn, so let's take advantage of it. So I thought, well, what's a good design to fit into this space and create this kind of turret effect on top of the roof? Eventually I settled on one that's actually on the Minecraft wiki. It uses sets of repeating 3 layers, and I've cut a little hole in here so you can see what's going on. I'll fill this in later. But essentially you've got a dispenser which has a water bucket in it, and then an empty layer. Then you have an observer block, and on top of it you have another dispenser. The whole thing repeats. At the top, obviously, we don't have a water bucket in here because this is the block that actually triggers the whole thing. This connects to a line of redstone that goes all the way down this column and ultimately connects to a clock where we can turn the whole thing on and off. So the idea is everything in here is dark and mobs can spawn in here, and periodically, as you can see, every few seconds, every couple of seconds, they flood with water, and each one cascades down, triggering the one below it, and equally when they turn off, it turns off the one below it. Right, so here we are at the bottom of the tower area, which is at the top of the building. The structure actually continues in a way, which you'll see a little bit later on. But I built this little structure here because initially I had it so that the whole thing was on top of the building and you'd be able to turn it on and off from here. And there is still a switch here if you want some manual operation. This functions as quite a nice little wait area where you can just wait for some mobs to spawn if you want to, or just look at the paintings, look outside. You know, it's nice to have a little sitting area somewhere, especially since most of the capsule isn't very well furnished, so we say. So we go down, and you can see this continues right into this big arched area, which initially I said, oh, it's a lovely big space, I don't want to fill it with stuff, and here I've filled it with this big lump of netherrack. It's netherrack, how can you not like it? And this is basically the drop area. So they just drop onto a big grid here of hoppers. Classic way that the hoppers then feed through here into this chest. There's the cobblestone I removed from the top. And this is the Ethonian clock, which basically powers the whole thing, which does seem a bit of a weird way of doing things, that the actual action that starts the whole thing is right at the top of the tower, and yet the clock that's powering it is right the way down here. But it does mean that we can turn it on and off very easily. That said, there's not an enormous need to have this turned off because it's only going to be active when I'm here or when somebody's in the base. And a clock that's running at this speed isn't going to be putting too much strain on the server. It's not like we have a massive server with hundreds of players. So yeah, you can see that we have a nice big tower of redstone that goes up there. It goes onto the roof, snakes around, and then goes through the entrance building up to the top and across the roof to the top dispenser, and then the goods, as I say, come down into the chest. Now I will say it's not the absolute most efficient mob farm that you've ever seen, nor is it the worst I've ever built. It's nicely in the middle, and every so often I come up here and I just pick up the stuff and I take it downstairs, and yeah, it's working very nicely and I quite like the effect. Now, of course, another reason that I had the little building up there initially was that I thought I'd be too far away down here for mobs to spawn at the top of that tower. Actually, it turns out I'm well within distance. It was really just a factor of me forgetting the range that mobs could spawn in. So, nice little extra building, who cares? It's nice to have a little bit of extra architecture. And we can still stand here and we can still look down at the rose window as if there's nothing blocking it. So I think that's really win-win. So, things I still haven't decided on. Still haven't got a name for 3 of these 5 dogs. Still don't know what I'm going to do with that hole I dug. Really, I have absolutely no idea why I did that, other than I just was listening to some podcasts and I thought I'll dig a hole. If there's a use for it, someone please suggest it and I might do something with it. Maybe I should keep on digging down to the bedrock, or maybe I should put something in it. So from here in the viewing plateau, you can of course see the effect that I was talking about. It leads up quite nicely from the lower vaulted area, which itself is pretty big. But it creates a nice line there, and it contrasts with the blue of the roof. So it's generally quite nice. It's if nothing else, it looks rather me. If you've looked at my other buildings, there's no mistaking who built this one now. I must say, when I've been up at the top, I have sometimes thought it would be nice to have a safe drop into the water right from the very top of the thing. Now, if I'm thinking about that, how is that going to happen? Because I've got a roof in the way. The only really practical way to do it without having a roof in the way would be to have something sticking out that I could then jump off, which looks rather like a soap dispenser, doesn't it, really? So it looks like we're going around full circle after all these years. I don't know. That's another thing. I just don't know if I'm going to do that or not. But it is very satisfying to jump off things in Minecraft, especially if it's into water. So yes, there we are. Things that have been done, things that have been poorly planned, as ever. Thanks very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Way!